All right. Hello, hello. How are we all? We are here today with Yvonne Krause, all the way from New Zealand. And today we're going to be talking about the benefits of the toxic free lifestyle using some natural health options. So, Yvonne, let's hear from you. I want to know what life was like for you and for your kids before you started to make that switch to being toxic free. Maybe some of the health issues you guys were experiencing at the time.
Yeah. So when we first got started, we were traveling around New Zealand, and five of us in a camper is a pretty compact space. But I found that in an area where unfortunately we had broken down of all things, I started experiencing really severe allergies. And I'd had allergies before, but not to this extent. And this was kind of crippling in a sense of I couldn't even go outside. We couldn't even open a window without it flaring up.
Yeah.
And I'm talking constant sneezing, brain fog, which is awful when you're homeschooling. Irritated in the through the sinuses right up into the ears. I was like a teething toddler. My mouth would become itchy. It was just constant, and it was really chronic, and there was just nothing that was actually bringing relief at all.
Yeah, right. And so what was it? So when you were first approached, because I know I suggested some things for you a little while back, but when you were first approached about trying some natural options, what was your first response? Did you have any reservations to try something natural?
Well, ultimately, natural was my goal. I'm not a big fan of medication if I can have a natural option. But honestly, using essential oils was not my first pick. I had done essential oils probably about 14 years ago, and they hadn't worked for me. They didn't live up to the claims. They caused more problems than they did. So I was really, really skeptical, and I was really, really reluctant.
Yeah, that's so cool. I just love hearing that that backstory, because it is really powerful when you start to experience things that do work. So when you first so what was it that finally made you take that step? Was it the fact I was a friend saying you should try this? What was it that actually made you say, okay, I'll give some of this a go?
There was a couple things. There was one that I had seen that you had been using it in your own lifestyle for a number of different areas of your health and your family's health. And the second one was absolute desperation, because medication wasn't helping at all. And I was just desperate for a solution, and I trusted that what you had been using and what you had found actually helped with your allergies and your family's health. I just really trusted that it was of good quality and living up to the promise.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with relationships, doesn't it? When you see someone that you know is obviously not going to be trying to pull the wool over your eyes, and they're going, this worked, you have to try it.
That's right.
Yep. And it's sad when we get to that point, that many of us wait till we get to that point of desperation before we're willing to give something a go. Which was my case exactly as well. So what I'd love for you to share with us now is, number one, how long you've been using essential oils with Young Living and some of the essential oil infused products that they have. So how long, and what are some of the changes that you've noticed, both in yourself and for your kids too?
Yeah. So I've been using essential oils for almost 2 years now. It'll be 2 years in November. And it literally became my first aid kit. I mean, at first it was just oils. I didn't touch anything else. And I literally used it when we were traveling as a first aid kit. You know, kids were getting bitten by wasps or bees. There was a lot of bees where we were. And so stings was a regular thing. And just seeing the results from using something natural, not having to run down to the pharmacy to grab something, using them for, you know, we've been through chicken pox and, you know, your common flus and whatnot, and we've not had to resort to medication. And it's just such an amazing feeling being able to give my kids that natural solution. You know, even when everyone's like, oh, do this, use that, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I could spend $60 on medication for chicken pox alone. Or I could have just used the essential oils that I had sitting there. And, you know, they were so effective, and there's no scarring or anything, which has just been amazing. We started, a couple months afterwards, we started onto the Ningxia Red, because we did want that other side of that health, the dietary side of it as well. And we've seen some pretty cool things. So over lockdown, we went into lockdown at the end of March, and when we started homeschooling, I needed the extra support in homeschooling the kids. I have one child who is on the spectrum for autism, and we're still in the process of testing where on the spectrum he is. And he has a lot of learning issues and a lot of issues in staying focused. He is really easily distracted. And so over lockdown, I got the Ningxia Red, and I was using it as a daily thing of, you know, you need to have your Ningxia, it's for your immune system, especially with everything going on. It was so critical to make sure their immune system was strong, and continues to be strong. And I may have over lockdown just made this one little comment about how it helps you with your concentration and your ability to remember things. And so we were in lockdown for almost 8 weeks, and then 2 weeks after lockdown, and kids are back at school finally, Josiah, my 9-year-old who has these learning issues, his teacher is very, very gracious with him and understands he'll have his days where he'll be completely unwilling to do any work. And she kind of just rolls with it most times. And this one day he came back to school, and he was just like, nope, not working today. And she was like, we haven't had a day like this for a while. And she's like, okay, just go. And then she has the rule of, if you want to do something enjoyable, you have to do your work first. And he got to that point. He's like, oh, I really want to go and do this, but I haven't done it. So he picked up his books, went and sat down with her, did all his work. And then he looked at her and he goes, I'm really sorry about my behavior earlier. Mum forgot to give me my Ningxia this morning, and I find it really hard to concentrate without my Ningxia. And she's like, her jaw just hit the table. She's like, one, what 9-year-old willingly apologizes?
Wow.
And she said, and two, whatever this juice thing is that you're giving him, do not stop. It is making such a difference. And he noticed it. And this teacher is a non-believer of anything natural being, of any beneficial, you know, she obviously understands the need of diet, but not with this sort of thing.
So beautiful, so precious. And I think you as a mum have made a massive win when you passed on that understanding of, I need this for my health as well, and for any issues that they're going through. And so I'm assuming as well that you felt better from your allergies as well.
And look, there was still, when we first got the oils for it, there was still that level of skepticism around it. But there was that desperation. I couldn't keep popping medication. I hated it, and it wasn't working. Yeah. And literally, it sounds crazy how fast this worked. But even Vince couldn't believe it. And he was standing there, and he was like super skeptic. And he was like, I am not wasting my money on this. And literally just putting the drops in my hand, mixing, breathing it in, and then just rubbing it around my temples and my neck 30 seconds, I tell you, I was completely clear. I was not sneezing. I did not have the brain fog. I wasn't irritated. I was completely symptom free, and it was just incredible. You know, when medication in half an hour might have just slowed the sneezing down, and that was it. 30 seconds of applying the oils, and bam, it was
awesome.
it was all over.
That is absolutely awesome. So tell me, what are you excited for what's still to come in this tox-free journey that you're on with your family?
Look, it's been really exciting. I can't even put words to it.
I can you with that question.
No, well, we are just constantly seeing wins, and even last week my 13-year-old came home from school and he's started telling me things that he's starting to notice, like you know, with the whole COVID thing, you know, the bus obviously has to disinfect seats between bus loads of kids, and the bus came and picked him up to take him from school to the high school for his subject, and he's like, it was so bad, Mum, like the spray that they used. He goes, it's a 25-minute from his school to town, and he's like, I drove like this. He goes, the smell of the chemicals was so bad, I had to breathe through my jumper the whole way there and the whole way back. And it's just those sort of little things that when a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old can pick up, that they are noticing the difference.
Yeah.
As a mum, that gives me such peace of mind that I'm on the right track with them, that I'm starting to set them up for wins in their future.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what would you say to someone that's either just starting out their tox-free journey, or they're at that point of being really skeptical? I cannot see oils working. What would you say to somebody like that?
Oh man, it is worth its weight in gold. It really is. That starter kit alone, it is, I looked at that starter kit, and I am a really, you know, budget buyer, super budget buyer. And I looked at that kit and I saved for that kit for about 3 or 4 months. And I was really skeptical of whether it was going to be worth it. But I am so glad that we went down that track. And even for the emotional support, even for the sleep benefits for the kids, you know, it is really worth its weight in gold. And there are absolutely no regrets at all. Not one regret.
Yep. That's so good. And I've just loved, I love that I've been able to be a part of watching that journey and hearing the stories as they come out, and even the stories as other people have then come to you and asked for what you're doing. It's just been so amazing to watch. So thanks so much for joining us today, Von, and hope the rest of you have a really great week. And if any of you watching this want to learn a little bit more, either reach out to myself or Von or the person that showed you this video. Otherwise, have a great video and a great week, and we'll catch you soon. See you guys.
All right. Thanks. See ya.